The carnivore diet is not suitable for anyone except for a lion, tiger, shark, or a wolf. And yes, that is me swimming with a shark in the thumbnail. It is not clickbait. So in this video, I'm going to reveal the meaty truth on this animal-based trend. And if you're new here, I'm Maria and I'm a registered dietitian. Welcome to the channel. Now, as a dietitian, I believe that everyone is entitled to eat whatever way they like. Nutrition is extremely personal, and I will never dismiss a client if they want to try something new. I help them ensure that they are doing so safely and that the diet is balanced in some way, and it's not compromising their health. But I have to draw the line with a carnivore diet plan. Frankly, it's an unhealthy diet that just goes against all of our nutritional research. The carnivore diet consists entirely of meat and animal-based products, excluding all other foods. It provides no specific guidelines around calorie intake, serving sizes, or how many meals or snacks you can have each day. So for the most part, you can eat when and how much you want to eat, but you can only eat these animal-based foods. No carbohydrates at all are allowed. So this means no more fruit, no more vegetables, no more starches or grains. So yeah, it's pretty restrictive. Now, people claim that following the carnivore diet will help you lose weight, protect against disease, reduce inflammation, and even increase testosterone levels. However, there is limited or mostly anecdotal evidence for these claims. If you've been following this diet and it has improved your lifestyle and well-being, let me know in the comments where and how it has helped for you. Shawn Baker and Saladino are the most well-known advocates for this way of eating. They are both medical doctors in the US with large social media followings, and their promotion of the diet through appearances on the Joe Rogan podcast, on their own podcasts, YouTube and Instagram seem to be where this diet has gained a lot of its popularity. Most of these claims, again, however, they lack that substantial research and have very biased ways of looking at the literature. Now, usually this doesn't bother me too much. Everyone is entitled to their own opinions on nutrition. We're all unique, and what feels well for some of us won't feel well for others. And everyone can have their own opinions, whether they're science-backed or not. But when it's paired with the motivation to sell something like your book at the expense of people's health, then I, as a healthcare professional, start to get annoyed. And it's even more concerning when you can call yourself a doctor. Many people will unfortunately see that a doctor is promoting this way of eating, and then they're going to think that surely it's healthy, which is dangerous. I'm going to pause here and ask that if you're enjoying the video so far, I would really appreciate it if you hit the red subscribe button below. It really helps support me to continue making more videos. And while you're at it, you can give the video a thumbs up too. Interestingly, back in 2017, Shawn Baker's medical license was revoked due to concerns about his competency. Now, it was later reinstated in 2019 with a requirement for direct supervision when practicing medicine. I think it's just important to point these things out. So what are their arguments for following this carnivore diet? So as it says on Paul's website, plants do not want to be eaten. They must defend their roots, stems, leaves, and seeds with defense chemicals to pass their genes on to the next generation. Now, this is simply a poor argument. You could also argue that animals don't want to be eaten either. That's why we can run away and fight our predators. Also, if you forced a herbivore like a rabbit to only eat meat for the rest of its life, it would die. And if plants were so toxic, then why do some of the world's longest living people tend to eat mostly plant-based diets? You can check out my Blue Zone diet video here to learn more about this way of eating. But if plants are trying to kill us through some toxic defense mechanisms, they're not doing a very good job of it so far. Another argument for the carnivore diet, which is also seen for the paleo diet, is that it's a way of eating that our ancestors followed. Not true, our ancestors also ate plants, but our ancestors also died really young, so it's a very poor argument too. In fact, we know that the more fibre that you eat, and fibre comes from plants, is directly related to a reduced risk of death. Research shows that for every increase of 10 grams in your fibre intake, there is a 10% decrease in risk of mortality. That's pretty convincing to me. Now, looking at the dangers of the carnivore diet. So firstly, it's a diet that eliminates all fruits and vegetables, meaning that you will be at high risk for nutrition deficiencies. Take vitamin C, for example. Not eating fruit and veg means you're going to be at high risk for vitamin C deficiency, which can lead to a condition called scurvy. Scurvy is a disease that was common amongst sailors back in the 18th century. They lived on ships and didn't have any access to fruit. It led to things like swollen and bleeding gums, anemia, loss of teeth, weakness, and poor wound healing, and it can be fatal. A lack of fruit and vegetables is also a risk factor for some cancers. It's well known that a diet heavy in red and processed meats increase the risk of colorectal cancer. And on the flip side, we have really strong evidence that plant-based diets can help ward off cancer and many other disease states too, including diabetes. The diet is also void of fibre, which is a recipe for constipation and cardiovascular disease. Fibre is essential for your gut to work normally. Without it, you're increasing your risk of conditions like diverticular disease. Fibre also increases the good bacteria in your gut, which we know has many physical and mental health benefits. We're learning more and more every day about how a healthy balance of bacteria in the gut can influence your health throughout your body. The diet also promotes a high intake of high-fat foods, particularly saturated fat, which we know can raise our LDL cholesterol and increase our risk of heart disease. While these foods, they can be included in a balanced diet, consuming them in moderate amounts is essential to avoid compromising our heart health. And as stated by the American Heart Association, lowering the intake of saturated fat and replacing it with unsaturated fat will lower the incidence of heart disease, a leading cause of death. So the carnivore diet is definitely not for you if you have a personal or family history of heart disease or high cholesterol. Also, this way of eating is void of carbohydrates, which will really likely lead to low energy levels, affecting both your physical and mental performance in everyday life and work. Carbohydrates are our brain's preferred energy source, and eliminating the source will likely lead to things like mood changes and fatigue. You might see relationships suffer or a drop in performance in work or sport. And the carnivore diet can be especially problematic for certain populations. For example, those with chronic kidney disease who may need to limit their protein intake. Or if you have a condition called genetic haemochromatosis, which is a condition that I myself have, and you can learn more about it in this video here. This way of eating would definitely not be ideal because you're battling already with iron overload. And besides the medical and nutritional issues that you might experience on a carnivore diet, you must also consider the psychological aspects of going on a restrictive diet like this. Following any restrictive diet can lead to loneliness and social isolation. Like you're not going to be able to have any cake at your kid's birthday or your own birthday, or if you go out for drinks with a work colleague, you will not be able to have any drinks because, sorry to break it to everybody, but alcohol is plant-based. Going out for dinner will become a nightmare and you'll be that awkward dinner guest who is battling with the waiter about all your specific dietary requirements. When we look at the research on people who are following highly restrictive diets, in the long term, the majority of them end up regressing back to their old eating habits. And it's definitely not for you if you have any past history of eating disorders or struggles with your relationship with food. Now, there's also environmental concerns with this diet. Now, you don't need to be completely plant only or a vegan to be looking after the planet. And as per the World Health Organization, moderate amounts of meat and dairy can be included in a sustainable diet. But the carnivore diet is far from moderate. Now I'm going to look at the proposed benefits of the carnivore diet. And one of the first ones is weight loss. So can this way of eating help you lose weight? And yes, it can. Certain aspects of this diet will definitely lead to weight loss because it's a restrictive diet that forces you to cut out many processed foods. But any restrictive diet can work for weight loss if it's making you eat less and if it allows you to achieve a sustained calorie deficit. But the carnivore diet has no superiority over any other diet for weight loss. It's the diet that you can stick to and sustain long term that will help you lose weight. And for many, the carnivore diet is A, not practical, and B, very difficult to adhere to over a period of weeks and months. It's all about finding what works for you. Somebody who prefers this way of eating, it might work really well for them and help them to lose weight. But for others, they might find it extremely difficult and it doesn't work at all. It's all about individualizing the approach to make it easier for you. Another point though is that this carnivore diet is very high in protein. And protein can help people feel a lot fuller after eating, which is beneficial if you are trying to lose weight. Protein can also increase your metabolic rate, helping you burn more calories. But fibre from plants is equally beneficial for weight loss. People who eat more fibre tend to be slimmer than those who don't. So ideally, you want a balance of all of these different things. You don't need to go to an extreme or cut out carbs to see results. And I will point out that when you do cut out carbs on the carnivore diet, you are going to see weight loss initially. But a lot of this is going to be water weight. And that's why bodybuilders cut out carbs before they get on stage. But it's not true weight loss. And a big concern for people on the carnivore diet is weight regain when they come off the diet. It's a strict diet to stick to, which can lead to rebound overeating when the diet ends. And this can result in a binge restrict dieting cycle. I have a whole video on this and how damaging and difficult it can be to break free from. Next, a lot of people will attribute the carnivore diet to improved energy levels. I very frequently have people attributing these new diets that they go on to this a new burst of life and energy. And it's great, but more often than not, this newfound energy is often an accumulation of many lifestyle changes. Like if you're starting a diet, whether it's paleo, carnivore, intermittent fasting, or any of these. You're also probably trying to drink more water, you're eating less processed foods, maybe you started going to the gym, and it's all of these different things that are helping you have these increased energy levels. It's not necessarily this carnivore diet. Of course, if you're cutting out loads of processed junk, you're going to feel better. And since the carnivore diet restricts all of these refined biscuits, cakes, chocolates, and sugary drinks, you're going to feel better. But again, carbohydrates do not need to be completely eliminated. It's just choosing better quality ones. Also, people will say that the carnivore diet helps with glucose control. And again, similar reasons, that's because you're cutting out loads of junk. Also, I want to touch on that it's a really expensive way of eating. Typically, meat products cost more than your plant-based foods, especially if you live somewhere like Bermuda, where 2 chicken breasts can cost you $20. The cost is even more compounded by the fact that it encourages only using grass-fed and ethically sourced protein. And not everyone has the privilege to obtain these kinds of foods. On a positive note, the approach to the carnivore diet is starting to evolve, perhaps because of some of the issues that I've mentioned earlier. But we are starting to see some leaders in this carnivore diet space starting to change their narrative. Take Paul Saladino, for example. Initially, he started out on a strict carnivore-only diet, but he himself reported to experience things like electrolyte imbalances, muscle cramps. Now he's moved to a slightly less, but still very restrictive animal-based diet, where around 80% of the foods he's consuming are meat and animal-based, and 20% are from plants. And he himself has reported improved sleep, mood, exercise performance, and generally just feeling better. So overall, the carnivore diet is unnecessarily restrictive. You can 100% healthily incorporate meat and animal products into your diet, but focusing on meat-based foods alone does not make for a healthy eating pattern. Plants are loaded with vitamins, minerals, fibre, and phytochemicals, all important for long-term health. And there is no reliable research to back any of the claims of the carnivore diet. I believe that everyone can eat whatever way they want, but I don't think we need to be making life any harder for ourselves by embarking on these extremely restrictive diets. And when it comes to overall health, diet is only one piece of the puzzle. Genetics, age, and gender play a huge role in how your body reacts to certain food items or diets too. And this isn't something we can change. And these factors can account for maybe why some people have seen success on the carnivore diet and why others have not. I'd love to hear your thoughts though. Is this a diet that you followed and has worked well, or is it a way of eating that sounds totally unimaginable? And if you've made it this far in the video, I want to thank you very much for watching by letting you know that I have a free recipe ebook which I've linked below in the description box. And I'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching.